That's hard, Bryce. It's hard. Think about it. He's basically telling me, hey, if we draft a young guy, a young left tackle, you basically have to pour your knowledge into this guy because it's almost kind of like a God-given talent. This is part of the talent that God gave you.
Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to share this. You're not supposed to keep it because you lose that talent when you keep it. And man, I'm like, man, that's hard to do if you're a competitive guy. You know, you giving up your secrets to this other guy.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast.
Hey friends, so excited to introduce today's guest in the Fitness CEO Podcast, which I just shot an interview. So excited for you to meet our guest, Mr. Lomas Brown. A little about Lomas. He has an 18-year storied career in the NFL. He played 263 games. He started 251 of those games. He won multiple Pro Bowls. He won a Super Bowl championship, and he blocked for the likes of Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, and the list goes on. So today, we covered an awesome conversation about leadership, about mindset, about overcoming adversity, and how you can take his experiences from the highest level of professional sports, the National Football League, the NFL, and apply them to business and to life. Get ready for an awesome episode. Hey, welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fitness CEO Podcast, a show for high performers that teach you how to lead so you can 10x your income, your impact, and your legacy. I am your Fitness CEO host, Bryce Henson. I'm here with a friend, Mr. Lomas Brown.
How are you, Bryce?
Doing well, Lo. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you.
Alrighty, well, we got a lot to cover. We're here in your neck of the woods, Detroit, Michigan, and we're doing our elite training, and you are a keynote speaker today. And for those of you who our audience haven't connected, used to play in this little league called the NFL. And I have your rap sheet here, but I want to just kind of open it up. We're going to have an awesome conversation. And if our audience hasn't heard from you before, give a little high-level, I guess, viewpoint of your career in the NFL, and how did a musician from Miami, Florida, end up playing in the league for 18 seasons, winning a Super Bowl championship, playing 263 games, starting 251. How did this all come to be, my friend?
Yeah, so just real quickly, was in the band, like you were saying, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, first day of high school, went in there, signed up for classes, coming out of there, somebody was like, hey, turned around, didn't know it, but it was the principal of the high school, asked me that I signed up for varsity sports. I was like, no, grabbed me by the arm, took me back in there. He signed me up for varsity sports, had to wait to the last period of the day to find out that he signed me up for football. So like I said, man, always wanted to I was always a people pleaser, never wanted to let people down. So I went out there, and and as they say, the rest was history. Just loved the game, played at a great school, the University of Florida, got 4 years there, was fortunate enough to play on some great teams there with some great players there. Ended up getting drafted by the Detroit Lions up here in 1985 and didn't know a lot about Detroit when I got here. Quickly learned that, man, this place here is unbelievable. I tell people, I'm from Florida, but I think Michigan is more of a tourist state than Florida is with everything that you could do here. Was fortunate to play with some great players here, play on some great teams here in the 90s with the Detroit Lions, progressed on to go to a couple of other teams, ended up winning the Super Bowl in my last year, my 18th year, and, just rolled off into the sunset, man, and here I am today, man, sitting on here with Bryce, chopping it up. Can't ask for anything better.
Look at that, man. Well, we're going to dive into that. A lot of love, a lot of respect, and we're new friends. You are good friends. My brother adores you, so I want to acknowledge you for that. Yeah. He loves coaching. He loves people. He loves you and the crew, and it's just been a magical experience watching you join FitBody and, really, plug into our community, get fit, and learn. We've learned a lot from you, just as you've hopefully learned from us in the process.
Absolutely. And Bryce, I love what you just said, community. And that's what it feels like. Like how they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
I love what you say, a community, because you feel like you're in a community. And anytime you need someone to talk to or you need that encouragement, it's always good to have people around you that you could go get that through. So I love love the Fit Body family. Like you said, it's like family. You know, it really is, and it's great.
I love that. All right, so going back in your career, and someone watching this is interested in transition. They're interested in potentially becoming a fitness professional, maybe opening a Fit Body gym or some other concept. You went through a lot of transitions, coming from Miami, being a musician in the band, then transitioning. A coach, said, "Hey, Lo, we're going to sign you up for football." I'm curious, were you 6'4" at that period of time? Did you already have your stature built? What would he see in you at that moment in time?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's what the principal seen. I think I was probably about 6'2 and a half, 6'3", but he must have seen in my frame that I could add more weight to myself. And like I say, again, recognized me, pulled me out, went there, signed me up and everything. And I again, just throughout the maturation of playing football, getting better, learning different skills, learning what it takes to play at a high level, learning what I had to do to make sure my body was there so I could perform at that high level, the training that I needed to go through during the all season to make sure I was prepared for that. And then when the moment came, being able to perform on that stage. You could do all the preparation you want to do, but again, you have to be able to get up there and perform. And that was, as we know, that's the most important thing is your performance. And something that Barrett said when we talked earlier, that's why I used to tell guys out there, you're not just performing for the team that you're playing for. You're auditioning for 31 other teams if you're in the NFL. You're putting your tape out there for other coaches, other teams to see and to evaluate. So guess what? If I'm going to put my tape out there, I want to put the best tape I can out there. So you have to be prepared to do that, not sometime, but each and every time. That's what the great ones do. They come out and they're at a consistent high level each and every time, and that's what you have to strive for.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about adversity, playing the league, and even going to University of Florida, right? I want to see your senior year. You had a breakout year, but didn't start that way. So can you talk a little bit about your college experience, specifically your senior year, and how did your team end up overcoming adversity and being successful?
Yeah, first of all, I played for Charlie Pell, great coach. And what happened was he was at Clemson before he came to the University of Florida, had a few NCAA infractions at Clemson and left Clemson, came to Florida where the NCAA was still after him. So long story short, we ended up going on probation my senior year. But again, like you said, we lost the first game of the season to the University of Miami at a neutral site. They beat us with 40 seconds left in the game. I still remember it now. Micah Irvin catching the pass in the corner of the end zone.
Really?
Still burns in my mind. They beat us. We came back the next week. We tied. I can't think of who we tied against. And then we won the rest of our games the rest of that season. Our coach got fired after that second game, after that tie game. Coach Pell got fired because, again, the NCAA infractions were coming down on him. And we just rallied. We just rallied as a team, as seniors on that team. We know the type of team that we had. We knew we were good enough to win the SEC title and everything. We just had to concentrate. We just had to focus in and go out there and do it. And we did that. We won the rest of our games. We finished 9-1-1 that year. We actually were the first team in the University of Florida history to win the SEC title. But it got stripped because, again, NCAA violations. But look, I got the ring. I got the ring at the house. So they can never take that away from me. And I went out there and I played those 11, 12 games on the field. So I know we won the SEC that year. So, again, going through adversity, but being able to come out on the other end of adversity. And like I always tell people, you never know what going through that adverse situation, you never know how you're going to come out on the end of that. And everybody think you go through adversity because of the weakness of it. Adversity strengthens you sometime to go through that and stuff. So I think we all have to go through that, and we went through it and ended up winning the title at the end of that year.
Oh, man, congrats.
Yes.
So that leads into then you being drafted, I want to say 6th in the draft in 85. Is that right?
Yes.
Even in front, we were talking off camera, in front of the great legendary Jerry Rice.
I know. Isn't that something?
That is unbelievable. Good for you,
my
man.
God.
So how'd that story come to be? And I want to kind of talk a little bit about that transition, because at that point, you grew up in Miami, you're a musician, your principal's like, hey, Lo, you're coming to play football. You then transition, played one of the best programs in the country at University of Florida, have a very successful season. Then it's about transitioning to NFL, the league. Yes. So what did that transition like? And I guess if you can give me the backstrap story of how you got picked. You were talking off camera in terms of how the coach of the Detroit Lions recruited you. But then really, what was it like the first year or two in the league? Because I would imagine there has to be a learning curve, just like there's a learning curve getting into fitness, launching a business, et cetera. So I know there's some parallels that our audience can glean.
Bryce, you're absolutely right. It is a learning curve. I don't care who you are. We talked about the great Barry Sanders, the great Jerry Rice, myself, any other great player. It's a learning curve. The NFL, you have to learn how to play in the NFL. And I know that sounds strange to hear somebody say that, but you do. You have to learn how to practice in the NFL. You have to learn how to deal with the media in the NFL. It's so much more. So it is a learning curve when you get to the NFL. But my NFL story was, like I was telling you, man, Detroit, I don't know where they came from. Philadelphia talked to me. Green Bay talked to me. Cleveland talked to me.
Before the draft?
Yeah. Okay. It was a couple other teams that I knew were interested in getting me. Detroit was never on the list, never worked me out of anything. So the day of the draft, 2 picks before they were getting ready to pick, the head coach, Darryl Rogers, calls me, and he was like, if this happens, we're going to draft you. And I'm on the phone like, what? I'm like, because the Lions.
In shock.
Yeah, because they, like I say, most teams work you out, send the coach. You have an idea. Your agent has an idea who's going to draft you. Detroit was never in the picture. So lo and behold, this happened and that happened. And Darryl Rogers called me and said, congratulations, we drafted you. You're a Detroit Lion. And it was kind of that awkward silence. And he was like, wait a minute, aren't you happy? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I am. But I was just such in shock because, and like I said, the only thing I knew about Detroit back then was it was cold. Mm-hmm. They made cars, but back in '85, it was the murder capital of the U.S. And I'm like, oh, my God, where am I going? But like I say, things worked out. It was the greatest thing that could have happened to me. We struggled early until we got Barry Sanders. I mean, Detroit wasn't on TV. My first 4 years, 85 to 89, we weren't on TV. Nobody cared about the Lions. We were a mediocre team. Once we got number 20, Barry Sanders, in 1989, then the attention came to the Lions. Monday Night TV, prime time. All
and you're blocking for them.
Absolutely. And so guess what? When prime time comes, that puts you in the prime time. If you're a good player, if you play to that stage, your name can get out there. And that's, kind of what happened to me. Barry put a lot of us on the map that wouldn't have been on the map if he had not come there to the Detroit Lions, or the Detroit Lions wouldn't have drafted Barry Sanders. So, yeah, man, it was a great experience playing for him. I blocked for him for 7 of his 10 years that he played in the league. It was just awesome to be there. And that's when we were winning back in the 90s. It was so fun being a part of the Detroit Lions back in the 90s.
Well, I think our story is just so serendipitous because Barrett was born in '85. That's the time you got drafted. And our first, I want to say close to a decade, was in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where we grew up. But then our mom was from the state of Michigan. So our parents split. Our father wasn't a good situation, so my mom got us out of Dodge, if you will, and we showed up to Detroit, Michigan, 91. And this is right around the time, and we're big sports fans, watching you play, watching Barry Sanders, watching Herman Moore. So the first, I guess, your breakout years when the prime time was coming was really an opportunity for my brother and I to latch on to the Lions during that time. So it's kind of serendipitous is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, it's great. It really is. And, man, you know what, Bryce, now that you bring that up, I think that was the fun part about this year for the Lions.
Yeah.
It was you got a chance to hear all the fans say all these different things about how they got loved ones that are no longer here, how they love the Lions, how they were tied into the Lions. This is what brought us together, the Detroit Lions. It was so great to hear all those stories last year because they were winning, man. I mean, you had some people saying that if they had won the Super Bowl, they were going to bring their loved ones down to the parade and dump their ashes out down there. Now, that's some dedication. That's some dedicated fans, but that's how they are here. So it's so funny to hear you say that. Kind of that's your way of being related and tied in with the Lions. And I heard it a lot, too, this year from a lot of different fans that were just kind of reminiscing back in the 90s and those times, and now how those times have come forward to where the Lions were just a very, very good team last year.
Oh, yeah. All right, I want to dive in a little bit about, speaking of Barry Sanders, because you joined the league in 85, and I think you said he joined in 89. So part about sports and also business is about coaching and mentorship and leadership, and we talked about having a learning curve, and it was interesting, the great Barry Sanders, who you was able to block for, you took him under his wing, and your wing, and you kind of gave some coaching. So what was it like being able to provide some guidance and coaching to one of the best running backs of all time?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I mean, and you see these young guys, and you kind of see the hunger that they have, and you could kind of see that in Barry. And it was our duty. I felt that it was our duty to take him, any, not just Barry, but any young guy, take him under your wing and show them, or kind of tell them, or kind of direct them or guide them to the way of the NFL. Because like we talked about, Bryce, it is a learning curve. Like I say, people don't realize you have to learn, like I say, how to practice in the NFL. It's not just you just go out there and start practicing. You have to learn how to practice in the NFL. There's so many things that you have to learn about this. So if you could help a guy kind of accelerate throughout that learning process, then he's only going to become a better player. And there was only two things we had to tell Barry once. Cardinals saying things, that the little fella, you just have to teach him. So one thing was you never run up the back of your offensive lineman. You happen to do that once. You pull the little fella to the side and like, little fella, no, we don't do that right there. If we can't find the hole, then, we do something else, but we don't run up the big fella's back.
What was his reaction there?
He was cool. I mean, he was a little fella, and we were big fellas, so he was cool. He was looking up like, okay. And then the other thing was, when he first got there, Barry would get the ball, make a cut in the backfield, then start heading towards the line of scrimmage. Another teaching moment. Little fella, come on over here. No, in the NFL, them holes close up like that. We can't hold them blocks for so long, so we need you to get the ball, start heading toward the lines, and you can throw any fakes that you want to do on your way to the line of scrimmage. Just that one conversation, and as they say, the greatest running back ever, man. The rest was history. He did it. No credit to us. It was just those two things we pointed out, and the rest was on him.
Credit to you both, but appreciate that share.
Yes.
Now I want to talk about mindset. Holy smokes, Lo. You got to have a rock solid mindset to make it in the NFL for 18 years, man. 18 years. And looking at your success and longevity, there's ups and there's downs, not only in the 18 years, but I'm talking about just season, playing 17 games. And I think, for someone watching this, maybe has no aspirations to become, an NFL athlete or a coach, but potentially has in business. And in business has its ups and downs, especially in our business. You have members that sign up and you have a big challenge and bring in a lot of people, and then you have cancellations, and then one of your best coaches leave. So I think there's a lot of parallels to the ups and downs in seasons in business and in NFL. So from your perspective, what was that like? How did you develop a mindset to get through not only 18 seasons, but just one season at a time?
Yeah, so Bryce, let's look at it from the standpoint of life. Let's look at it outside the business and outside the NFL. Just life, period. Think how life comes at you. I lost my mom to lung cancer at 67. She was 67. Never smoked a day in her life. So you deal with that. Her and my dad, I lost my parents within 6 weeks of each other. My dad,
6 weeks.
Yes. My dad died the day after the Super Bowl in 2004, and my mom died on St. Patty's Day, 2004. So, okay, you got that coming after you. Okay, I went through a divorce, You got that coming at you. And I went through the divorce when I was playing. The only sanctuary I had when I was playing, and I promise you, it was probably the best year of my life, was out on the football field. Because life was just coming at me so hard. The only refuge was the football field. So for those 3.5 hours a day, it was like, I'm in a good place. And then once the game ended, it was when the chaos and life starts. And think about it. Business owners go through that. They go through the same thing. Everybody look at what they do business-wise, but they got kids. I had kids. One of my kids had a child out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? You just think about all the different things that happen to you, that goes on to you in life, and being able to take that, compartmentalize it, and do your job. And that's what we had to do, Bryce. That's what I had to do. Like I say, my only sanctuary when I was going through my divorce, when I had to move, and speaking of that, when I was going through the divorce, that's when I left the Lions and went to Arizona. So not only was I going through a divorce, then I was I was on the other coast, not just another state. I was all the way on the other coast, a different time zone.
3 hours away.
3 hours away. My older kids were back here. And, so not seeing them, so all that, but you have to be able to, again, that's why they say you're a professional. You have to be able to compartmentalize it and, do your job. And that's what you do in business. It's a job to be done. You have to do it regardless of what's going on outside, around you, or whatever. You have to be able to do that. And I was able to do that. A lot of guys in this profession, they're able to do that. Not saying that it's easy. It's not easy. It's hard to do that. But if you focus in on the job or the task at hand, then you are able to be, zeroed in, and all the other stuff, like I say, you just let that be outside noise and you deal with it at the appropriate time. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, good on you, man. And that's a good parallel, like you said, not only to business, not only to professional sports, but also to life as well.
Life.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how hard life can come at you,
hits hard.
man.
It
Yes,
hits hard.
is.
Yeah.
There's no written handbook about how life is to go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know.
All right. How about leadership, Lo, man? You are an incredible leader, and you've coached and mentored a lot of people. I was just listening to you offline, and one of your kind of talks in coaching that you learned from your leaders is about mid-time or midway through adjustments. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's, a good analogy for business, for life, for sports. What is your relationship with leadership and adjusting and having to, make those minor adjustments? I think that's really important to know.
Yeah, because again, we know everything's not going to be smooth. We talked about it, Bryce, through think about a 17-game football season. Man, you're going to have ups. Then you're going to have downs, and sometimes them downs may last for a while and everything. So that's how a season go, and you're going to have to be able to make, like you say, midstream adjustments. And that's what the coach used, Frank Gans, best coach I ever had. She's always harped that at us. You have to be able to make midstream adjustments because things are going to come at you and stuff. So you stay focused in on things, and you are able to make the adjustments. How do you make the adjustment? You pay attention to the small details. That's what you have to do. He used to always tell us that it's the small details that you have to pay attention to. And that's what I try to do, whether it's, studying film, whether it's knowing your client, whether it's knowing the way your business is trending or maybe trending this way. It's kind of knowing what's going on in your business sector. It's empowering yourself with knowledge to know these things so that when you're able, or when you have to make that adjustment, you're able to make that adjustment. And I think that was the thing. I always told you, and I was glad to see a lot of the people earlier, the coaches, they had journals. We had to have, man, you would get in trouble. You came in his meeting without your journal. And it was something you were always writing down in that journal, but the journal was there. Like I told you, I still got mine to this day. Now, the paper might be a little brown now, but I still got it. And there's so many things I look back in there at, and I can apply those things now to life, how I'm living, what I'm trying to accomplish, and different things that I'm trying to do in the business world. So, yeah, that I think that's one of the things. And I was telling somebody out there, the best leaders I ever followed were leaders that did it by example. I love the leader that showed me what to do more so than telling me what to do and stuff. And that's what your brother Barrett does. Man, he shows us how he wants us to do it. And you respect that more than Barrett just sitting there saying, do this, 45. You know what I'm saying? He shows you how that. And I always thought that was important to be able to show them what you want to get accomplished. And then it kind of takes the guesswork out of everything. If I show you what I want you to do, then you don't have to guess about what I want you to do. You know.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
What about this, actually? I heard you also, when speaking with Barrett, this is something that you learn in the league, and it's about leadership, and it's about showing, right, leading by example. But what you keep, you lose,
yes.
and what you share, it grows. So where'd you learn that, and can you provide a little more context?
And that's hard. That's hard, Bryce. It's hard. Think about it. Because he used to tell us that in the meeting, Frank Gans again. And I did. Towards the end, I understood it. But at first, I'm like, wait a minute now. Because you telling the guy, he's basically telling me, hey, if we draft a young guy, a young left tackle, you basically have to pour your knowledge into this guy because it's almost kind of like a God-given talent. This is what you're supposed to do. This is part of the talent that God gave you.
Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to share this. You're not supposed to keep it because you lose that talent when you keep it. And man, I'm like, man, that's hard to do if you're a competitive guy. You know, you giving up your secrets to this other guy. But again, now it's for the betterment. Now I didn't understand that individually. But as a team, you understand, okay, this for the betterment of the team. This going to make us better as a team. This is going to help us win as a team. Now I'm going to get my individual accolades when we win as a team. The individual awards will come to me, but we need to win as a team. And you didn't understand that. You know, at first I didn't understand that, but I needed that guy to help us accomplish what we needed to go. So that's what. Again, that's something I use in life. You know, if I have information that can help somebody, I'm going to give it to them because, again, I feel obligated. That's my job because I've gotten these talents. I've gotten this gift. I figured that I should be able to, or I should want to share these gifts.
Yeah, that's a great insight. And as I was listening to you, I first thought, man, that's a dichotomy because you learn all these things, and these are trade secrets, if you will. But then I thought to myself, man, that's strong leadership. That's really putting the team in front. And then you even said it when you were interviewing with Bear. You play for the team on the front, which is the name of your organization, and the name on the back is for the respect. That way you can, show up for your teammates and, be able to look them eye respectfully, right?
Absolutely. You're right. And that's what you have to do. It's a team game. But look, man, I'm playing for the pride, that name that's on the back. I'm representing that name on the back. I'm representing my parents, my siblings, everybody. That's who I represent. That's who I am. And like I say, every time I go on that field, I want to put my best foot forward, man, because, again, you never know who's watching. Put it this way, Bryce. So I played in 2 Super Bowls. We lost when I was with the Giants, we lost the Super Bowl to the Baltimore Ravens. That's when Ray Lewis got his first Super Bowl. It was in 2000. They beat us down. It was 34-7. We lost that game. I never forget, I got during that all season, myself and Glenn Parker, the guy that played next to me, and I'll tell you a quick story about him. But we got a letter probably a month or 2 after the Super Bowl, and it was a fan that said that they had went to the game. They were sorry we lost the game. They had went to the game, and they said in that letter they were so impressed with me and Glenn Parker because even when the game was over, and like I say, they beat us down, they said they watched how me and Glenn Parker, every time we took the field, we would sprint on and off the field. And he was like, the game was over, but he said he watched us every play. And it was just a sense of pride with me and Glenn. We were probably the two oldest guys on the team, but it was just a sense of pride of making sure, hey, we're not going to win this game, but we're going to show them they didn't defeat us. We're running on and off this field. And I never, that letter resonated with me because, like you say, things you do, you never know who's watching you. You just never know. And if me and Glenn would have been logging on and off the field, would have never got that feedback from the fans. So that was a powerful life lesson for me too. What you do in the dark is going to come to the light. But like I say, what you do when people aren't watching you, that's when you start building character. I think when you're doing it and you're doing it right and there's nobody there to tell you to do it right or nobody standing over you watching you doing it right, that's when you start building character.
Oh, amen to that, man. You just fire me up. Absolute truth. Now, the last two kind of big topics I want to hit on is actually a great segue when you talked about the Super Bowl and even in that story right now about sprinting at the end of the game. And I always have this framework is it's not how you start because anyone can start strong. It's how you finish because champions finish strong. So for you were able to finish on top, which is absolutely incredible, with I think 2002 when you won the Super Bowl at the Tampa Bay, which is, serendipitous, but also, and we haven't talked about this, but doing research for the show, I want to say back in 1996, which was 11 years after you got drafted in the league, you went back and finished your degree at University of Florida. Is that right?
Man, yes, sir. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
So can you share a little bit about that and why that was important?
It was, man. My mom really wanted me to get my degree. She really wanted me. And like I say, I got drafted in 85 and, I was, I think 20 credits short from getting it. And I went back. I took classes at the University of Detroit that went towards my degree. So I did that for like 3 off seasons in a row.
That could transfer to University of Florida?
That transferred up there. And then I had to go back to finish up some courses that couldn't transfer, and that took me a summer to do that. I went back 2 summers to do that, and I was able to get my degree, and that was one of my proudest moments because, like I say, that's what my mom truly wanted me to do. I was like one of the first ones to get a college degree.
From the University of Florida, man.
Absolutely, man, which means a lot, man, to be able to say you have a degree from the University of Florida. So I'm so happy you brought that up because, again, that was hard. That was hard and stuff to be able to make that commitment to do that along with training, getting ready for an NFL season, and just kind of having to switch your brain. You know what I'm saying? Here I am doing the X's and O's during the football season, and I got to come back to technical writing. I'm like, what in the heck is technical writing? But that was part of my degree. I had to take that class. So it was just, it was different. It was hard.
Oh, yeah.
It was hard, man. I ain't going to even lie to you. It was hard and everything, but I wanted to do it. And the thing I had to do, and this is the thing that Barrett said to me too, like he said, man, once you start working out, you just have to keep doing it. You have to just keep doing it. And that's what I was thinking about, back then with school. If I stopped, I knew I wasn't going to go back. I just knew I was going to let life get in the way. Something was going to get in the way, excuses, whatever was going to get in the way of me being able to finish my degree. So that's why I just made a concerted effort to go back, and make sure I got my degree. And, man, I could say that's something that I'm proud to show my kids. More than anything else, I'm able to show them that.
Heck yeah, man. And that says so much about you. When I was doing the research, I was like, that testament to completing what you started is just, unfortunately, it's not that common anymore. And for you to have the mental fortitude just says a lot about you. And again, it goes with that championship mindset because anyone can start strong. It's champions finish strong. And you can use that, in your, I guess, college career in this particular case, but your NFL career, your business and life. There's so many parallels that you can take that lesson lesson with you.
Absolutely, man. And, that's why I said, and I said it out there, man, football is the greatest game on this earth to me. It really is. It's such a game that teaches you so much, man. You're going to get friends that you'll have for life. One of my best friends now is who I played with in high school. We still talk to this day. Like I say, all the life lessons you're going to get out of that, all the doors that it can open, that it has opened for me, so many doors. I met people that, man, I'd never dreamed that I would be able to meet. And it's all because of football. It's all because of what it did for me, what it's done for my family. I've been able to provide and take care of my family through football, man. Like I say, it puts you up on a platform to where people want to listen to you because of you playing in the NFL. It's just so much this game has given me. And I always tell moms, a mom will come up and ask, should she let her son play football? And I say, heck yeah. I say, yeah. I say right now with how the equipment is, with how the coaching is, with how the rules are right now, this is the safest time for a kid to play football. And I say it's going to teach them so much. They're going to get so much out that game man. Now, we can't take the violence out the game. I tell them, the violence, it's part of the game. But I'm telling you, man, the life lessons, everything they're going to get out of that game, yes.
I love it, man. And certainly I have no sense of athletic prowess as you did, but this is why I latch on to business, because for me, business has taught me so many of the same things: mindset, adversity, leadership. So a lot of parallels.
Yeah. And, can I say this? That's the biggest thing, and kudos to you, because think about this, Bryce. In athletics, you know the results right after the game.
Oh, yeah.
You know whether you won or lost.
Yep.
You know whether you had a good game or a bad game. You got your results right after the game. Man, business, and that's what I'm still learning and adjusting to. Man, you could think that you got this deal closed, and man, it could drag on, and then something else come up, and it's on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and that was the biggest adjustment for me, because I'm so used to knowing the end results. I know my results. I know what this has happened and everything, and now you're in the business world, and you're kind of dependent on other people, and like I say, it could drag on and on and on. So, like I say, it's a tough adjustment. It really is. Especially I think for us athletes, because of that dynamic right there.
Well, interestingly enough, Lo, that was my last topic of conversation, was just about your transition out of the league, because it's interesting when you have 18 years of a storied career like that, your identity had to be wrapped up in all the success, your identity, right? But then you have to transition and you have to hang up the cleats, right? And that just happens and you were sharing offline, for the vast majority of NFL athletes, you get forced out.
That's right.
Age, the younger crew, et cetera. There's a few athletes that, get to write their own ticket on the way out, but the vast majority of time isn't the case. And I would imagine when you transition, you lose your identity.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of that. So what was that, I guess, transition like out of the league for you? How did you manage the identity change, and what are some learning lessons for our audience who are probably transitioning from, employees to becoming business owners, knowing that transition is going to be tough, their identity is going to have to change? So would love some insights to help our audience better prepare for those adversities.
Yeah. So again, man, Frank Gans, again, my coach, he used to always tell us that change is uncomfortable. He says change is uncomfortable. We're creatures of habit, especially football players. You like everything to be the same. You want it to be the same, look the same. And he says change is hard, but sometimes change is necessary. And he's so right about that. Those people, like you said, that want to transition from being an employee to being a boss, or an employer, that's a change. It's going to be hard. You may not be confident in the skills that you have to transition from an employee to being somebody that has to lead a team, but again, sometimes it's necessary. If you want to get to where you have to go at, you got to go through the fire. Again, I look at my career, my first 11 years with the Detroit Lions, okay? All pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 6 Pro Bowls in a row, right? Thinking I'm set.
6 Pro Bowls in a row.
Think I'm set in this Detroit community, doing everything in the community. My name is out there. Just built a big house in Oakland County, just thinking I'm set. And then the Lions come to me and they say, well, you know, we love you, but we don't know. You may be too expensive. We got a left-handed quarterback now, so he could see the blind side. So maybe we don't need to invest as much in you now, as much money in you now, because, you know, it's not his blind side, so it might not be that important. Okay, you've done all these great things for us in the community, and you're a pillar of this community, and we thank you for your service, but basically, your services are no longer needed here. Think about that. Think about that to your psyche, what that is to your psyche. And I'll go one step farther, because at least that was the thing. I got to leave in free agency. Now, I'll go back to my 15th year when I was with the Cleveland Browns, the expansion team. I actually got cut from that team. Now, think about getting cut from, I'm 15th year in the league, never been cut from a team. Like I say, 7 Pro Bowls, all pro, everything. And the expansion team cut you. I signed a 3-year deal with them, and they cut me in the first year because they say I was too much of a locker room lawyer. Because I would tell the young kids, hey, man, this not right, this not right. So they didn't really like that. But think about that. You talking about that was the lowest point of my professional career, was when the Cleveland Browns cut me. And I remember driving back to Detroit, and Coach Fossil called me from the Giants. And he was like, Lomas, I really want you to come here. And I'm like, I was so low. I was like, Coach, that's it for me. I played 15 years. I had a good career. That's it. I'm done. You know, because I'm hurt. I'm hurt. So he said, look, just come see me. Just come visit. No commitment, come visit. And I decided to go out there and visit. And like they say, the rest was history. If I wouldn't have went out there and visit, I wouldn't have got to my first Super Bowl. Even though we didn't win that Super Bowl, in my 16th year, I got to my first Super Bowl. In my 18th year, I won my first Super Bowl. But again, like I said, at my lowest point came my opportunity. Think about that. I was at my all-time low, but here was my opportunity. Didn't know it was my opportunity because I almost turned it down, but my opportunity came to me at my lowest. So again, man, there's just so many life lessons that you learn, man, that, like I said, keep your mind open to opportunities, because you never know when they're going to come, and you never know when they're going to be there. It could be at your highest point in life, but it could also be at your lowest point in life.
Sometimes that's how it rolls out.
That's right.
All right, Lo, man. Well, this has been awesome. I am so grateful for you. I want to be respectful of your time. We got to wrap in 3 minutes so you can get out and do some work with the Tigers later today. But the name of this podcast is the Fitness CEO Podcast, the Fitness Chief Executive Officer Podcast. Lomas, from your perspective, what does it mean to be a CEO?
Man, to be a CEO means that you have a lot of responsibility. That's what that means to me. When I say responsibility, you got people up under you that you're responsible for, like I said, putting them in the best position for them to succeed. That's what I think a CEO is. That's what I think a coach is. I'm going to put you in the best position for you to have success. I want to give you all the knowledge I could give you so you can have success. I want to give you these techniques. Whatever you need to have success, I want to give that to you and put you in that position. And I'm telling you, man, you can't ask for anything better. You know, to be put in a position to have success, now it's up to you. So that's what, when I think about a CEO, that's what that means to me.
Heck yeah, my friend. Well, mic drop. Before we finish today, do you have a website? Do you have a social media handle in the case that our audience wants to continue to follow along? We'd love to give you that space.
So proud of the Lomas Brown Jr. Foundation. It's a foundation that I founded in 1991. It's geared towards kids. That's how my foundation has been set up since I set it up. But when you help kids, you indirectly helping the families too. We've been doing that. We do it through specialized camps. We have sports camps and we have educational camps. So please, you can go to the Lomas Brown Jr. Lomas Brown Jr. Foundation.org. We have volunteer sign-ups. You could do that. You can see up-and-coming events, where we're going to be at. It's so much that we're trying to do to help our youth back here in Southeast Michigan, because as we know, those are going to be our leaders. They're going to be leading this country one day, so we have to pour back into them. So that's what my foundation do. So please, check it out. Yeah, and look up the big fella. I'm on there, too. They got the big fella.
Let's go. That's where you got to be, man. Yeah. Support this guy and the amazing foundation that he's created. So, Lo, before we wrap today, man, I just want to thank you so much. Yes, I want to thank you for being here, for pouring into our coaches, for being an awesome Fit Body client, for just being an inspiration. But more importantly, I just want to thank you for being you. You are just a salt of the earth guy. For someone who's achieved that much success, for your humility, your ability to connect with people, it just says a lot. I'm grateful to be a new friend of yours. I'm grateful that you're a close friend to my brother, and I'm grateful you've added so much value to our brand, and I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Bryce. I appreciate it.
My man. Well, friends, I know you got a ton of value. I certainly did just listening to the man, and again, highly encourage you to check out his foundation. All of the contact information will be in the show notes, and remember that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself, and the time is now. My man, Lo, appreciate you, and friends, we will see you in the next episode.